CEO and founder of CFCI Foundation. And to my left, we have Brooke, my co-host and our producer. And Brooke, you can take it from here.
Hi, I'm Brooke Bennett. Thank you and welcome to today's show. Today is a special show because today is National Gun Violence Awareness Day, in case you didn't know. That's why I'm wearing orange. So today you are supposed to wear orange in honor of National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Now, the reason to wear orange is because it's a symbol of don't shoot, right? When you're hunting, people wear orange to make themselves aware, right? And to not be accidentally shot, right? So it's a color that means, symbolizes a lot today. So that's why I chose to wear it and honor all those who have been victimized by gun violence. And today we wanted to introduce you to an organization you may not have heard of. They've been around a few years, since 2012, Automotive Mentoring Group. And today I have with me the CEO and founder of the group, Alex Levesque. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm humbly grateful to be invited. Thank you so much, especially on this day of all days.
Yeah, so we wanted to focus on your organization because it's been around a while, but not many people see. On Focus on Causes, we like to bring attention to those organizations that may not be on your radar, okay? So I haven't heard of them, and I was so excited when I met this gentleman and learned about what he's doing. And the organization originated, I'm reading this here from your site, to change the lives of the Chicago gang population, right?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
Great. So talk about how you do that.
Well, I was very frustrated about the rate of violence in Chicago when I started this non-for-profit back in 2012. And you would think that perhaps my mindset and my attitude about it would be a little bit more relaxed by now, but it's just nothing has changed other than it's gotten worse. My purpose was to try to think of something that could be impactful long term. There are a lot of non-for-profits in Chicago that are doing some awesome work towards trying to reduce the shootings and the gang violence in Chicago. What we do is we target the gang members that are most likely to be shot or the ones that are most likely to shoot someone. So we're dealing with the most vulnerable gang members across the city of Chicago. So we are dealing with gang members from Humboldt Park on the north side to North Austin to Inglewood to South Shore to Woodlawn, back of the yard. So we crisscross across the city, and we have 3 very large Bow Trust warehouse buildings right next to Midway Airport. And we put these guys in uniforms, just like the one I have on today, and we train them how to restore classic cars from 1930 through 1972. So they build those vintage cars from scratch. So they're building everyday vintage Ferraris and vintage Porsches and vintage muscle cars from the 50s and 60s. More importantly, it allows them all to work together. Mm-hmm. So these are guys that, perhaps at night might be chasing each other down the street, shooting at each other. And now you have one person or a group of persons from one gang teaching some other guys how to weld today, or how to do automotive painting, or how to sew automotive upholstery. So
we see your training, your programs on the site right now.
Yeah.
So you have programs in repairing, upholstery, paint work.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they're restoring the cars from scratch, and there's a lot of skills in that. So it's a workforce development mentoring program to really teach these young guys. And I want to just mention that we do have young girls in the program as well, and they work a lot harder than the guys do. But the whole objective is to try to teach them that there is honor in working together.
That's the key word.
That they can.
Got a question for you. So, do they get, after they finish a car project, do they get to ride around in it?
Oh, well, absolutely they do. Actually, we're going to be doing an event tomorrow on Saturday down on 38th and Cottage, and we're going to be it's a big music festival, and we're going to be featuring 5 cars at that music festival. So typically what happens is we bring cars to those kinds of events, Inglewood Music Festival, that kind of stuff. And we stage the cars up at those events, and the guys that built that car are all there in uniform to talk to people in the community about the program. And it's a good recruiting tool to get other gang members off the street and to get them involved in the program as well.
Wow.
Absolutely. I
Wow.
love that. So you said you target the most vulnerable, the ones that are shooters. So, okay, so they're not in jail. So how are you going about finding them, locating them, getting to talk to them, bringing them to the program? How is that process?
Well, what we find is that, there has to be multiple stages in how you do that. So originally when we started out, we would drive the cars that we rebuilt into a community like Inglewood. And we would just drive there on a hot summer day today when we know that there is a high rate of violence. And then we would just pull up to the corner in a 1965 Impala.
Oh, that attracts them. You attract them to you. I love it.
Like a dozen guys on the corner in white T-shirts, and they're just kind of standing out there. And then we drive up in the car, and then, what I find is, you got about 4 minutes to talk to them before they start shooting, So you got to get out, you got to talk to them real quick and get them interested in cars. And once they realize that you're harmless and that you're there to be of some service, and then they give you a little bit more time to get your story in. So we still do it that way, intervention, we still do it that way, but also we've been recognized by the Chicago Police Department, and we work closely with them, so we get a lot of referrals from guys from the Chicago Police Department. We get referrals from the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice and Illinois Department of Juvenile Probation. So now we're getting a lot of referrals from a lot of law enforcement
You gotta get
entities.
them young. I
Yeah,
love that.
absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, it's important.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's important.
Wow.
Okay.
Excellent.
Let's see. You have so much great stuff on your website here. So,
Well, thank you for saying that.
yeah. So.
Well, how about this? You're engaging with the community in a variety of different ways. You've spoken about the communities that I know are hotspots in the city
Sure,
of Chicago.
absolutely.
There's 77 communities, but there's only 4 or 5
Yeah.
that, really is getting this destructive attitude and doing things that we call backwards
Right.
instead of being productive,
Of
being
course.
destructive.
Yeah.
And I know that this program is a phenomenal opportunity for them to change their mindsets, because it's all what's going on in the head.
Of
in their
course,
mind.
of course.
Tell us a little bit, because we only have a half hour,
Yeah,
right?
I
And it's
understand.
not shorter than that.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about some of the success stories that you've come out of your program. Maybe a few of the young men who appear to be backwards and unsavable, for lack of a better word,
Right.
to how they got really involved with your program and it turned around, and now they're a gleaning success story for your organization. You have a couple.
It's always interesting when someone asks me that question, and whenever I give the answer and I start to talk about those stories, sometimes it seems even unbelievable to me, because it's such a grand thing, So an example of that would be a guy that I met, and his name was Otis, and I met him when he was 19. But Otis grew up in Inglewood, and he had been arrested and charged for home invasion with a shotgun and attempted kidnapping at 16. So when he got charged with that, then he was sent to prison for 6 years, but he was sent to an adult prison. So he was charged as an adult. And when I met him in Inglewood doing this street ministry that I just talked about, when we drive up with these cars, and he was
love that.
19.
Street ministry.
Yeah, he was 19 at the time, and we started to talk to him about the cars, and he just wasn't for it. He was a small drug, boss in the neighborhood there, and he's like, "I'm the boss." I'm like, "You ain't the boss of nothing, man." So we started to talk about that, and then we were able to convince him to get involved in the program, and he did not have his high school diploma. So then we talked to him. I continued to talk to him about going back to school to get his high school diploma. At that time, Illinois Institute of Technology on 35th Street had an alternative high school that you could go to get your CPS high school diploma, not your GED, but actually walk across stage and get a CPS diploma. And it took about 3 months to have that conversation with him, but finally I was able to, convince him to go, and he went. And then at that time when he was going, he was spending half of the day with us and half of the time down at IIT, and he was working on a car for Mr. Jones, which was an '87 IROC Camaro. So he was working on that car, full time during the day and going to school in the evening for that whole period of time that he was with us. So when it came time for him to graduate with his high school diploma, we were there to give him our framed certificate of completion to show that he completed our program as well.
Awesome.
So when he came for the graduation and walked across stage and got his diploma, we were on the other end of the stage to give him our certificate of completion. But what I didn't know that day was that there were 348 students in that graduation class that day. And Otis graduated valedictorian. And I wasn't expecting that to happen, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was really
Look at
surprised about that. And then they gave him a special accommodation. And then after that, he came across with his cap and gown, and then we gave him our certificate, and he grabbed onto it. And I said, congratulations. And he felt something on the back of it. And when he pulled it off the back of it, it was the keys to the 87 IROC that he had been working on. So that was his graduation present. So now you got this guy who went to the penitentiary and he's just sobbing and crying. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So that part of it.
This is a success story. This is like the success story. I
But
love
wait,
this.
there's more.
Okay.
So once I thought that was done, then he decided that we convinced him to go to Kennedy King College to study automotive technology, which he did. And 2 years later, he graduated with his associates in auto collision repair. And then he came back to me and he said, Alex, I feel like I didn't learn anything, And I said, how could you feel that? You graduated the top of your class and you got your associate's degree. And he says, yeah, but I want to do what you do. He says, and I want to restore old cars. He says, they taught me how to work on new cars. And I said, well, there's this other school that you could go to called Wyotech. I said, it's really expensive. I says, but you could get a master's degree in automobile restoration. Wow. And he says, well, you could talk to my mom about that, which I did. And short of the story, his mom took an early buyout. She worked for GM, paid for his tuition to go to Wyotech. He graduated with his master's and got hired by Mercedes, making $75,000. Right out of school, right?
Wow.
And I'm thinking, that's just awesome. That's just great.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
This is like.
So then I didn't hear from him anymore for like a year and a half. He just kind of disappeared. And one day I was having a rough day, a bad day. And I was going into the 31 Flavors to get a banana split because that's what makes me feel better. Right? And this woman walked in behind me through the turnstile and she said, hey, Alex, how you doing? And I turned around and I said, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking about me. She said, you don't remember me? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't, ma'am. She says, I'm Otis's mom. And I said, oh, yeah, Otis. I said, I haven't talked to him in a while. I said, how is Otis doing? She says, he's doing fine. I said, what is he doing these days? She says, he is the district manager for O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, wow.
So,
He completely immersed his life into automotive.
Yeah, that's one of those moments when something like that happens. You just look up at the sky and you say, Lord,
yes.
I know you don't work on the point system, but I hope that counts for something.
I'm sure.
It does.
So-
well, let me ask you this question. And I'm asking this because one of my passions is philanthropy.
Sure.
I'm called a cooperative philanthropist.
Oh, okay.
Where
Awesome.
I, focus on bringing partners together to do things that
Sure.
are bringing goodwill to the community.
Absolutely.
In sports, and I did some things with the NBA, my program was called The Game of Giving Back.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I
not
like
just
that.
about getting involved,
Sure.
having a success story while you're involved, and then being able to be escalated to the next level when you disconnect from the program.
Yes.
But do you come back?
Sure.
And so, is he coming back? Has he come back? If not, what I'm going to ask you to do is tell him that you met Dr. Burnett and you're on our show.
Yeah.
I want to reach out to him, have him come back to our program
that'd be awesome.
under your
Oh,
banner
wow.
and ask him to tell his side of the story.
Oh, sure.
as well.
Yeah, that would be just awesome. That would be awesome.
I mean, that is the epitome of
Yeah.
a success story of.
We just try to
from-
duplicate that over and over and over again.
Yes.
When you ask me about that, because we have a limited amount of time, I can't even go into all the stories.
Yes.
That's a blessing that you have a lot of
85%
them.
of the guys that go through this program get out of the gang life, and 85% of them do really well. Now that requires a lot of pushing. A lot of shoving,
Of course.
lots
Yeah.
of conversation.
Of course.
Sometimes you got to hug guys with tears in their eyes, and the guys are your size, and I'm looking at them like, am I supposed to hug this guy? But
course.
it works because what I realize is what they want most, even though this is a workforce development program, and it's designed to teach them how to work with their hands and to be responsible individuals and to be productive citizens of society, right? But what I find that most of them want most of all is they just want to be around men.
Excellent.
They just want to see
Excellent.
what is it like, what does a man smell like, what do they talk about, what do they do,
Right.
how do they handle themselves, how do they
Yes.
conduct themselves. We
Yes.
have 9 mentors, and
They need to
7
see
out of
more
the
of that.
9
Yeah.
are retired law enforcement guys
Interesting.
from DEA to FBI to this, that. But they're car guys, number one, but then they're all fathers. So they have that natural instinct that God gives you when you become a parent,
Yes.
usually.
Right.
And
Wow.
they get a chance to be around those men and see how we handle conflict.
Right.
Because we don't disagree, we don't stab each other to death.
Yeah, or
We
shoot
sit
each
down,
other
we
as they
get-
do that.
Right.
Right.
We sit around and we have a peace circle and we figure
Work
it
it
out.
out. Right.
So
Well, I
Something
think
I
a lot
love
of it-
your website says, as our participants learn to deconstruct a car, they are taught to deconstruct and evaluate their lives and rebuild them with positive influences and new choices that come with newfound opportunities. That's such a beautiful statement.
Yeah,
And
it's
your so our viewers can know they have programs, 3 and 6 month courses that prepare students for employment through one-on-one mentorship. And these programs are aimed to impact violence and unemployment in the communities. I mean, this is such a wonderful organization. So please visit their website, amgmentoring.org, to support them. You can donate right on the website. They, as you can hear, they are doing life-changing work here.
Yeah,
And-
what is the age requirement? Is there an age requirement for people to get into your program?
It is. We deal with guys from 8 to 80.
8 to 80?
Wow.
Because there's some 80-year-old guys that still need some mentoring. So
Awesome,
we
awesome.
go
That's
across
amazing.
the board and
Well,
we make it a point.
there's
not
something else I want to
discriminate.
gift you.
Sure.
In regards to this program, especially when it comes to our men, because one of the things that happened when the black family was broken down is that the man was taken out of the house
Sure,
immediately.
exactly.
And then he was barred from the home using economic elements,
Right.
such as the food stamps
Of
and things
course.
like that they would use to feed the mothers would use to feed their kids and
Right.
things. There was, you have a man in the house, you don't get it.
Sure,
Type of
exactly.
thing. And that's been going on. And now we're in the back end, I believe, of that. Of course, many of us has escaped that trap, but
Right.
so many of us are now dealing with the byproduct of it.
Of course.
One of the things I did with the NBA is I founded a program called Successful Teens International.
Okay.
And that was a program put together by the Success Foundation for Success Magazine.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with that.
Using one of the best-selling New York Times best-selling books, a book built around the psyche of teenagers, per se, and 8 dynamic principles of success that they can use to apply to anything they want to be successful.
Sure.
I want to gift you guys, every student
Oh,
in your
thank you so
program,
much.
a
Thank you.
copy of
Thank
that
you.
book.
Yeah, they need that.
Have them read it so they can get a better insight
Sure.
in regards to how possible success is, because it's very, very possible.
Oh, yeah.
And they're doing the hard work, and they're doing the bonding,
Right.
and then also to say to them, and I would love to visit and see you.
Oh, yeah, you have to see it.
And to say to them, that these are your brothers and your sisters now. This is your new game, for
Of
lack of a better
course.
term.
Of course. Of
And
course.
this is for life.
Right.
And then be open to give back and to be open to share your experience as a type of model
Right.
or example to others, those youth who are coming up who are looking for them
Sure.
to follow their lead
Exactly.
into success. So I'm honored that you came onto our show.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
And where
I'm
can our
honored to
viewers
be
find
here.
you tomorrow, Saturday? You said you'll be at an event.
Yeah, Saturday. It's an entrepreneurial event that they're having, and it's on 38th and Cottage Grove. It's being sponsored by another friend of mine, Philip Fairweather. And it's a big music festival. It's right in the park. They're having all whole job fair with all kind of employment
Great.
opportunities and
What
things
time?
like that.
What's the time
That'll
frame?
be on Saturday from 12 until 6.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
so
Saturday,
it's
June
great.
3rd.
Yeah.
Catch Automotive Mentoring Group with their cars. You can have some cars,
yeah,
right?
of course,
Okay.
with the cars, and the guys will be there as well, and we'll get a chance to kind of showcase what they've been doing and what they've been working on. So we're all excited, and we have a number of other events like that coming up this month in June too. Another one that will be held over at the Illinois Institute of Technology Architectural School. That'll be coming up, I think, on the 24th. So I'll
Okay.
keep you posted on that as well.
Okay.
We'll be doing the same kind of thing, another big music festival.
Awesome.
So it's going to be awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have something else for you too.
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
Just to ask. And that is not just about what you've done. It's not about just what you're doing, but also what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I follow that Holy Spirit.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you on that.
And so the Father is saying to me, the Spirit is saying to me that you're doing such a phenomenal job here, and this must cultivate and grow. Now, He's given us a directive. He's
Right.
given us a command.
Right.
Be fruitful
Right.
and multiply.
I'm
And
with
you're
you.
being fruitful with this. And now the multiplication element is what's coming through me with this. And so it's automotive. And the automotive is just don't stop with the automobile.
Right, of course.
It goes into aircraft.
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
And things of that sort. So what I'm going to ask you to do, pray on it.
Yeah.
And I would love to, work with you, sit down and strategize, put a plan together
Okay.
to see how we can approach not only the automobile industry and make this bigger than Chicago.
Sure,
What
sure.
you're doing here.
Absolutely.
But also, you're right next to Midway Airport.
Exactly. And one of the mentors, Ron, is an aircraft mechanic. He used to be a crew
there you
chief.
go.
So
Okay.
There you go.
Looks like the expansion is
go.
already
Exactly.
in motion, right?
And so that will happen, and then seeing how the automobile industry, as well as just automobiles across the board, is turning into electric forms. There's a new
Exactly.
technology coming into
Absolutely.
place. How we can play a role in helping your organization be a leader
Yeah.
for among our youth, and to get them in sync
Sure,
with their future, and and get them degrees and
Right.
engineering
Yeah,
and
of
all that as
course,
well,
of course.
and then have those who are not involved with your program to come back and give as well. I think there's room, and there's a lot of great potential here
Yes.
to have this affect the automotive industry across the board,
Yeah.
and not just only in the United States and Chicago.
yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your insight, the way you see it, and you've hit it exactly where it is. Because you know what, I'm reminded every day. I'm reminded that, and I was reminded of this morning before I left the house, that what I'm doing here is my divine assignment.
Excellent.
It's what the Lord wakes me up to do every day. And I got a feeling that because I continue to do it is why He continues to give me that
Yes.
gentle shove and say,
Yes.
wake up, son. You got some
Yes.
stuff to do.
Yes.
Because if I was doing something else, it might be different.
Oh,
you know?
yes.
So,
Wow.
so we just got to put in the work. And
Yes.
I always
Definitely
tell these
making an
guys, you got to keep showing up no matter what it looks like. You got to
Exactly.
keep showing up.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
really
grateful.
sense that it's a growth factor about to happen. with your
Oh,
organization.
yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I do.
And that's what the focus. When you take a magnifying glass, you have the sun, you have a piece of paper or something that's combustible. You got to take that and it's right at the
Absolutely.
sweet part.
Absolutely.
The sunlight and
Yeah.
that magnifying glass, get that right there, and then you get the flame.
Right.
That's what focus on classes is all about.
Yeah.
Bring these phenomenal individuals who have this super passion
Sure.
about giving back and helping others as they help themselves.
Yeah.
To be able to help focus on that, like yourself.
Yeah, thank you so
again.
much.
and
Oh,
honor
thank
to
you.
meet
I
and
appreciate
I'm
what
so
you're doing
grateful
for our
for what
community
you- yes.
in Chicago. by
Yeah.
the way. Our media
And
is so
personally,
focused on
Mike, me,
that.
you're in
Right.
Inglewood. That's
Sure.
where I'm at.
Sure,
So I
sure.
appreciate the
Yeah.
work
And
you're
there's so
doing
many
there.
people who heard about the bad news over and over and over and over. And over.
Right.
They need more to understand. There's more good in Chicago. than bad.
Absolutely. And
you're
that's
a
one of
good
the things I
example of that.
always say
Yes.
is that, especially with what we are all dealing with here in the city and as it relates to crime and violence, is that we need people like myself and people like yourself to give people in the communities hope. So that when they look at this program, they go, well, it ain't all bad. There are some
all
people
bad.
out there, and I
Right.
probably could do something too. I could volunteer over there, or I can do this, or I can do that. But if
Absolutely.
they don't know about it and they're not aware of it, even,
Right.
our non-for-profit is, I tell people I'm in the service business. That's what I do. I'm
Absolutely.
about being service. That's what, being of service. That's what my whole life and my whole agenda is about. And I
Yes.
can tell that you guys are, on that same sheet of music. I understand.
And on that note, we are so grateful for what your website says, Saving Lives in Chicago. It's
Right.
exactly
Great.
what you're doing,
Yeah.
and we're so thankful for it. And happy National Gun Violence Awareness Day.
Yes.
Please let's carry it through, right?
Right,
Carry the
absolutely.
mission out, and hopefully we won't be having to have days dedicated to gun violence.
Well, the
anymore.
numbers will go down.
Right, hopefully
That's
they'll
for
go
sure.
down. Right. Thank
All right.
you. Have
Thank
a good
you all,
evening,
Chicago,
everyone.
for watching another Focus on Causes program. Spread the word. FocusOnCauses.com. You can watch the show every Friday at 6 p.m. right here on Channel 21. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.